But
So you must miss the Delhi food then, because Delhi food is amazing. I remember when I first met Jay, I had to kind of convince him that we should add Punjabi in the song, because this is obviously the first episode on SabbyBG Show on YouTube. Guys, subscribe.
in this episode, I'm so stoked to welcome a British Indian record producer, composer, and entrepreneur from London, UK, who needs no introduction at all. He began his career in the Asian underground music scene and later became internationally known for his Hindi remixes, his Bhangra tracks, and his Asian R&B fusion music. Please join your hands together for the very famous, the almighty king of Asian R&B music, Rishi Rich.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Savvy.
How are you doing and how are you dealing with, I know you're in Mumbai, so how are you dealing with the whole pandemic situation happening in Bombay?
Yeah, I mean, currently in Mumbai. I've been here 4 years. We went into lockdown end of March, and obviously we are now in September. And I guess it's the whole world is going through, dealing with it the best way they can. I think in India and Mumbai, I think if you've read the news, the cases are very high. So everyone's very vigilant and just very much just being very careful. They are really, really stressing that if you don't need to go out and if you can work from home, then just do that. Luckily, as I was saying before we came on air, music producers like myself, we're so used to, being confined in a room, a dark room. I think 80%, 70% of my life I've spent in a recording studio. So it was like, okay, the only thing I do miss is obviously seeing friends. I'm very social. Like, I do like to go out. I think it goes hand in hand with my profession, to go out to listen to music and meet new artists. But otherwise, it's been okay. I mean, I do miss my family. My mum is back in London, so she was just here, and I had to actually send her back to UK because lockdown was just kicking in. And normally I would go to London like twice a year or 3 times a year, or she would come here. So I miss that, but I think you just have to adapt. I think you just, especially for people who are not used to leaving the house. I'm so used to working from home, where it hasn't been that much of an adjustment. So yeah, it's okay. It's good, and it's made me, even though I'm very, very disciplined when it comes to music, but I birthed my own record company in lockdown. I've released singles. I've been working on, Netflix dramas. Because the focus is a bit different. Because all you can do is work, eat, work out, and sleep. And watch your favorite programs.
Yeah.
That's the kind of routine. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, we still are in lockdown, so let's see what happens.
No, absolutely. I think, you've come so far. And I'm sure like creative people like yourself, you probably use this lockdown to your advantage. But let me ask you this. I first heard your name with Dance With You, Nachna, Tere, Naal. And this was, if I'm not wrong, the year 2003. The debut single, Rishi Rich project that you produced featuring Jay Sean and Juggy.
Yes. So yeah, I Dance With You came out when I was 26, but I actually started learning music, from the age of 6, 7 years old. My mum had, when I moved to Harrow, I had been given a keyboard when I was young. I think 4 or 5 years old, a Casio keyboard. I think which every Indian person gets anyway.
I had one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I just really, I really enjoyed. I started to play the keys, and I really enjoyed that. And I think my mum noticed that I took I was quite fast. I could listen to, if she was listening to a song, I could start playing it on the keys. So she enrolled me into music classes. And from there, I just really took an interest in music. And, a lot of my friends, being 13, 14 in a British Asian in West London, especially in Harrow, it was either being a DJ or a rapper, or, for me, it was a case of being a musician and a music producer. And I really wanted to learn how music is composed. So when I got the opportunity to work in a recording studio, which I found out was owned by an Indian guy down the road from my mum's house, I literally walked down there. I'd done a demo. I think I recorded a reggae version of Ye Dosti with one of my friends from college, and on a 4-track Tascam 4-track, and I literally took it down to Pankaj Jetwa, and he was like, I love this. Why don't you just learn? Come and he had a studio in his garage, and then from there I used to go there every day after college, and then me and Pankaj set up a group called Too Cool. So we did this whole run of Too Cool, and I met Dondi, Veronica, and we did all these Hindi remixes, Love to Love and everything, and people are getting to know my name. And then it really just moved from here to there. From there I managed to kind of get myself independent enough to go and get signed to Bali Sagu, to Ishq Records, and I did my first album, Simply Rich, and that was when I was 23, 24, and I did tere, disda, and jeena, and that's how I met Juggy. And at the same time I met Jay, and then Dance With You came out 26, and and then from there we just had a great run. And it's funny because recently, more so than recently, I've just been talking so much about like where I came from, my past, and it's still the same. Like I'm in Mumbai, obviously had the film stuff, Gully Boy, and everything I was working on, and I've just had this constant hustle of just making music and doing things very differently and flying the flag for the scene. So yeah, it's I mean, there's obviously a lot more detail of my journey, but in a nutshell, that's kind of it.
No, absolutely. Let me tell you this, Rishi, and one of the reasons why I was so excited to speak with you is because when you first started producing music, to one of the recent tracks I heard, which was Freak, I have always felt, I've always felt that you've made music for people like myself. When you produced Dance With Me, I was in India, and I instantly, when I heard that music, I was connected. I was connected with yourself, with Jay, with everybody else. I was connected. To very recently, when you did, Freak with these guys as well. Again, I love the kind of music you produce. But I wanted to ask you a question. Through the Rishi Rich project, you're responsible to launch some really amazing British Asian talents who would later gain mainstream success, like Jay Sean, Juggy, Veronica Mera, and Mumsy Stranger. How has your experience been working with these people? And also I'd like you to share any sort of behind the scene moments with any of these guys that was funny, that's something rememberable that you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's working with artists is a challenge in itself. Producers, I think we're built in a way where we're very patient. We are not, I think, especially for me, it's always been about the artist. It's never been about myself. Like if you've seen a lot of people, I've much more been about my brand and my name than, a lot of people don't even know what I look like because I'm always behind the scenes. So dealing with artists is a very, very delicate thing. So I've had so much experience with all the artists you mentioned and others. And, it's, I remember when I first met Jay, I had to kind of convince him that we should add Punjabi in the song because he was straight up, but he wants to do R&B, and which was his complete right, And I remember we nearly got into an argument, and we had just, met. We've been 6 months into kind of knowing each other, and I was like, we need to do this, And I remember us getting into that, and me, Jay, and Juggy have had some great times on the road. Some have ended up in tears. Some have ended up us not talking because we were like a boy band without being.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Veronica actually is one of my closest friends. I met her when I was 18, and she's been with me as she's like a really, really dear friend of mine, and someone who has really kind of taught me a lot, actually, because when we started, me and Veronica started making music together, we were doing strictly R&B. And I remember us going to a Punjabi Bhangra gig in London and performing R&B and getting booed. Getting booed off stage because it wasn't Punjabi. And I think that really affected me because, my musical taste is very much eclectic along the way, where it's from R.D. Burman to James Brown to Hira to Gurdasman to Gypsy Kings to Blackstreet. Like I have a really broad sense. So I think it was then that, that was one of the gigs that really made me feel that actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to combine R&B and Indian music because that's what I love, and so yeah, that, those stories. Mumsy's, again, I actually was a judge at a talent show in Birmingham in UK, and that's where I met Mumsy, and then I ended up signing him. So yeah, I mean, we've had so many stories, you know, so many memories as well are attached to these artists. So, and so much good times. You know, I spoke to Jay this morning, you know, because you know, we are currently doing some stuff together, and we always talk about that. And it's kind of like how it was when we first met. And obviously, everyone's matured, everyone's got families, everyone's in a different place, but we still have that kind of bond where we can be silly and stuff like that. So yeah, it has been some really fun times and memories.
So I wanted to ask you this, something that you touched on as well, which is you've been, and I've always looked at you like that, right? Every time you've come up with music, whether it's with Jay or Juggy or Mumsy, and I love Mumsy as well, like all those songs, One More Dance, and I mean, sort of I remember like, I don't know, almost half a decade ago going to a club, but I had to listen to One More Dance from Mumsy all the time. But anyway, wanted to ask you this, what is your sound? I mean, moving from R&B to Bhangra and now doing a lot of Bollywood, having followed you for almost 15 years, I'm a little confused as to what your sound is, because I feel you're one of the most versatile music producers out there. What do you enjoy doing the most?
It's a really good question, because I think from the day where I said, when I actually did the demo in my mum's house when I had my little studio, till probably now, my sound has always remained, you know, everything. And I think it's a case of my mum would listen to, you know, Stevie Wonder. She'd put Stevie Wonder vinyl on, and then straight away she'd put an Asha Bhosle vinyl on, or an R.D. Burman vinyl on, you know. And then she might put a George Michael vinyl on, and then she might put a Pankaj Udas vinyl on, and because that was her taste. And I think that really kind of like within me, those sounds are now, and that those are different genres. So I'm a multi-genre producer. I think that's what it is. And what I do is that I don't just produce one. If I produce house music or dance music, I will always have, and I think in all my music, I've always had a hint of my culture, no matter if it's one sound, no matter if it's a lot of sounds, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. As a listener, I've always felt that in your sound, I can feel the sort of like the Indian vibe as well as the Western vibe coming. I mean, I could, and that's what's different. That's exactly what differentiated you from anybody else I was listening to, because there was no other sound like you at that time. And even now, as a matter of fact, I mean, as I said, I mean, I'm listening to Freak or a lot of other songs that you've recently produced. I can clearly see, I mean, sometimes I can close my eyes and somebody asks me whose music that is, and I can say maybe it's Rishi Rich. But again, you do so much stuff that I won't put my money on that, because you're just so versatile.
Thank you. And I think that's been a part of my ethos, you know, it has, because when I listen to producers, like let's say when I listen to Timbaland, or when I listen to Dr. Dre or Pharrell or R.D. Burman or, you know, Anu Malik, let's say, all these people, I listen to producers and I know from the straight away, from the first beat, this is a Timbaland record, or this is, you know, this is whoever it is, you know, Dr. Dre or whatever. And I think I've always wanted to be that kind of producer where as soon as you hear either a beat or something, people can say that's Rishi Rich, you know, because that's the way his sounds. And I think when you get to a stage when you accomplish that that sound where people can recognize it, then that's a brand, you know, you've actually built a brand for your sound.
Absolutely.
And so as long as you keep on evolving with time, and my way is obviously working with the younger artists, working on, you know, the more current films, but my underlying, you know, surface of music will always be the same.
No, absolutely. You moved from UK to Atlanta, now living in Bombay. Take us through, how did this happen? How did the transition, how did the move happen?
So I basically, from UK, I got, you know, I'm a big fan of Teddy Riley. So, you know, Teddy Riley produced Michael Jackson, Remember the Time, In the Closet, Black Street.
Absolutely.
And I met Teddy in UK, and he was like, I've heard about you, I've heard your music, I'd love you to come to Atlanta. So I went to Atlanta to visit him, and I loved the vibe there. And at that time, for UK, for me, I'd kind of hit a glass ceiling. Like I'd worked with mainly every artist in the UK scene. I wasn't really getting inspired. So I thought, I'm going to move to Atlanta. And because Teddy was like, why don't you just come and live with me and just be around me, learn. I'll build you a studio next to mine so you can work. So I literally did that. I got up and went. and I went to Atlanta, and I felt like I was going back to college, you know, because I used to sit behind Teddy, watch him work. He taught me a lot about, because even though I produce, I do music scoring as well. You know, I compose. So he taught me a lot about sonically how music should sound, how you should lay your violins, your drums.
Right.
And I really took a lot from him, you know, because he's one of my he's my mentor. So then that was great. And then I had this opportunity to work on Half Girlfriend with Mohit Suri,
Absolutely.
who's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he'd come to New York, and I flew from Atlanta to New York to meet him. I played one of my songs, which was Mere Dil Mein, but it was just a beat. And he was like, I love this. Why don't you, I love this for my film. I said, fine. I said, you know what? How about I'll come to India, to Mumbai, and work on it then, just to kind of feel the energy of everything. And he was like, fine. So I left Atlanta because I was leaving Atlanta anyway, and my time was kind of up there, and I'd done everything I really wanted to do. And I came to Mumbai. Mohit had a spare flat in Bandra, which, he had just moved to a new house. He was like, you can stay here. I was like, fine. So I was only meant to stay for about 2 months, 3 months. And I took my laptop, and I really loved the energy. And I think for a producer, it's very important that you go where you feel inspired. You go where your heart kind of, and where your gut tells you, actually, I'm feeling inspired here. I was meeting new artists. I was around new friends. I went on my own as well. So I ended up staying there, and then, fast forward 4 years, I have my, eventually got my place, got my studio, and worked on some beautiful projects like Half Girlfriend, Mubaraka, and Gully Boy.
Yeah.
And Gully Boy was one of, I did Duri, I did Eki Rasta with Ranveer and Zoya, and that was great. And now, this year I've set up Break the Noise Records, which is a great thing for me, because I've always been that A&R. I love discovering new artists and putting out the music. Like, I put out music every month now with new artists, and it's been great. As well as that, I've just done some music for some TV series. I've actually done Bad Boy Billionaires, but that's on hold with Netflix. So yes, I did that, and I'm working with some other stuff. So it's great. I've got my hands in some really cool pies, as well as being inspired. So yeah, let's see where the future holds. I'm just going to carry on working. Got some very exciting singles coming up with some really, really cool artists. So yeah, it's been really, really cool. It's been really different, lovely actually, living, and I love Mumbai. I really do. I miss London. I do miss London a lot, but I love America as well. So I think if you look at that, if you look at India, UK, and Mumbai, that really justifies my music. It's the American, UK, Indian sound.
Don't forget Canada, by the way.
And by the way, my favorite place is Vancouver.
Amazing.
I mean, that's probably, if I had to retire, because I love the fact that in Vancouver you could be in the city center, and on one end you can have look at skyscrapers, and then on the other end there's mountains. And I love Canada. I've got some great friends. Montreal I love as well, and yeah, so it's a great place. So America, Canada, UK, India. I think that in itself really justifies my whole sound as well.
I wanted to ask you, sort of like, what is the Desi music industry outside of India? Do you feel that you may suggest to musicians as well that they should be looking at coming to India, exploring India as soon as they can? You explored it maybe 4 years ago, but do you feel that this could have been something that you could have done maybe a decade ago, and you've been, again, I'm not going to question your success because you're super successful, but at the same time, do you think you would have done that maybe a decade ago and not just 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think, I never look at things as I should have done this or this was a mistake. I know when I did Hum Tum, that was such an unexpected hit for me, and that was done from West London. Me, Juggy, and Veronica did that. I always questioned that, what would happen if I had moved at that point when Hum Tum had come out, but you never know what could have happened. The fact is that I'm here now. But I do give advice, and if I had to encourage people, is that just follow where your music is successful,
right?
And whether you're an artist, if you want to work with a producer, travel to that place. If that producer's in India, get a plane ticket and go and work with that producer. Be in a room with the producer, get that energy. And things are so different right now. And when Dance With You was released, we didn't have streaming, so
Correct. True.
and we made it into the charts from physical sales, and obviously now everything's very different. Everything's streaming. You have all your streaming channels. Everything's very much online, so you can really reach out to a lot of people now.
True.
I think through lockdown, if you've noticed, there's been a lot more people coming on live, having interviews with different artists or producers, because everyone's at home.
Absolutely.
There's no excuse for no one to say I'm too busy, because this is a time to really connect with people. So yeah, explore this. I think the one thing that I love about what I've done in my career is I've never been scared to get up and travel and learn from people and move countries. And I think that's important, because that's it's educational to do that. So and I love the way the scene has progressed, and especially Mumbai, there's so many people that are coming here from Canada, from America, from UK, producers who are settling here, and really making a mark. Because when we do music in Hindi film music and Bollywood here, you can tell it's not done, but you can tell it's done by someone from outside India, And right now, you have Manj Music, myself, Zeus, Prophecy was here a little while ago, So all these people, I think it's very, very important for producers to explore different countries and different avenues and different ways to put their music out.
If there's only one artist you can work with for the rest of your life, who would that be?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know. I wanted to put you on the spot.
I don't know. Honestly, everyone I've wanted to work with, I've worked with. I have worked with. But I think maybe Gurdas Maan ji.
Oh, wow. What a legend.
Or Asha Bhosle ji. I think if I could work with those two, I would be happy, because everyone else I've worked with, I've had such an honor to work with people. The great artists from, everyone actually who I've admired and looked up to and been a fan of. I've eventually ended up working with them. So I think Gurdas Maan ji and Asha Bhosle ji is two artists that I really have to work with before I retire.
No, absolutely. It's funny you brought up Asha Bhosle ji's name, because just today I was actually reading an article and she was saying, I'm turning 70, or I think she said I'm already 70, but I still feel I'm 40 years old. Just a funny coincidence that actually I was reading something about her today. If there's one city, I know you're in Mumbai now, and I know that you mentioned that you love Mumbai, and I'm sure somewhere your heart still beats for London, because you're from there.
Of course it does.
I want to ask you, if there's one city you can live in for the rest of your life, what would that city be?
Oh, there's one city I can live. If I had a choice to live in one city, I think it would be London, actually.
Okay.
I think it would be London, because I think I'm kind of torn between London and New York.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I love Atlanta. I really, really loved Atlanta when I lived there. I love the vibe. But New York is very much, London, but so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mumbai's great, but I do miss London. I think there's something in the air in London that I think because I've grown up there and I was born there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always.
I think it's the connection when your heart beats for sort of where you grew up. I mean, I've been in Toronto for almost 16 years, but I grew up in New Delhi, so it's just something that you sort of sometimes don't understand why that happens. But
so you must miss the Delhi food then, because Delhi food is amazing.
Yeah, but see, I live in Toronto now. I live in a city called Brampton, which is sometimes also called Brownton. Every intersection has an Indian restaurant, not an Indian, but many Indian restaurants. So, I think when people from India come here, they get a little overwhelmed with the amount of Indian food available in Brampton. It's just crazy. Rishi, what are your upcoming projects? I know that you've started this new venture where you're bringing upcoming artists, but what are you spending most time doing these days?
I think it is the label Break the Noise Records, because my whole ethos with Break the Noise is we're putting out a single every month with new artists, with established artists, and all the singles happen in this room. They get composed, produced, mixed, written, recorded. So that's my main focus at the moment. Before lockdown, I was working on a few films, which I'm really excited about, and obviously that's all come to a standstill because film and everything has stopped here. Like I said, I did the music for Bad Boy Billionaires on Netflix, which is currently on hold. So that's when that comes out. I can't wait for people to hear that. And I'm scoring some new TV series that I'm involved in. So I'm kind of juggling between film stuff, independent music, but I think the label is my focus. And I've gotten a great single. You're gonna love this. And when I tell you, or when you hear the next single that's coming out, and with who it is, you're gonna be very happy about it. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Anytime I've seen your name within sort of like a song's name, I mean, I'm like, I gotta listen to it because it's Rishi Rich. I mean, to somewhere, I don't know if you would even believe that, but one of the reasons why I moved from New Delhi to Canada, or I wanted to go out of India, was kind of like after listening to the music that you were producing. I was like, this is so cool. This is coming from London. Okay, I should look at how do I move to UK. The UK was too difficult to move to. I'm like, okay, where should I go now? Okay, let's look at US, or let's look at Canada. So you've been a pretty major influence, maybe in where I am today as well. So thank you. I don't think I've ever said that to anybody. So thank you. And I'm being very, very sincere about this as well. Wanted to ask you, again, you don't need any introduction, Rishi, but where can people find out more about your upcoming projects, or where can people connect with you if they'd like to?
Yeah, I think, for me, I'm, quite active on social media. My Instagram is Rishi Rich. It's all my social media handles are very informative about what I'm working on. Twitter is something which I love. I actually love Twitter. I really do. So that's something which, you can catch me there. That's Music by RR, and Break the Noise Records on Instagram. And yeah, just keep following, and just keep, our YouTube channel, Break the Noise Records. You can go there, subscribe. You can see all the new videos, behind the scenes. We're only 4 months old, so it's great. So far it's like we're building this label again, and it's been a great thing. But yeah, any artists that wanna send me demos, you can send stuff. All the details are on my Instagram. So and I love listening. I genuinely listen to new music every day from artists.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah. Rishi, from the bottom of my completely desi heart, I want to thank you. I mean, having almost 30 minutes of your time, I mean, this is, I think I should thank lockdown as well for this reason. I mean, getting 30 minutes from you, it's absolutely incredible. I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to speaking with us and to my audience. Before we let you go, I'd like you to say a few words to all of my audience, and also to people that are watching this episode for the first time. Let them know that they should subscribe to the SabbyBG Show, because this is the #1 Indian show from outside of India.
Okay, cool. All right, well, this is obviously the first episode on SabbyBG Show on YouTube. Guys, subscribe. I'm so glad. I love being, the fact that I'm the first person. Had a great chat with you, Sabby, and thank you for all, for all the love and everything. And I can't wait to share my upcoming projects with you guys. And I hope you enjoy the interview. Drop your comments and let me know what you think. And it was a great chat.
Don't go anywhere. Keep watching more of the SabbyBG Show by clicking on these videos right here. Before you leave, may I humbly request you to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss a single episode of India's #1 Vox Pop show from abroad. Your favorite, the SabbyBG Show. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, and remember, I love you.